Hello everyone! In this video I am joined by Fetness132 playing a human engineer, SpacePaladin playing a Krogan Vanguard, and DH1022 playing a Battlefield 3 soldier, which was a promotional character that not everyone has access to. I don't have it, for instance. Although DH1022 had never played Silver difficulty before, he agreed to give it a try, so we're playing Firebase Ghost against the Geth on Silver difficulty. Firebase Ghost is located on Benning and was one of the original multiplayer maps, and is available in a single-player campaign as part of the N7 Cerberus Abductions mission. Firebase Ghost is a fairly large map with two main areas, which makes it very easy to get flanked if you're not careful. Ghost was also one of two multiplayer locations available in the Mass Effect 3 demo. The character I am playing here is an N7 Shadow, a new infiltrator introduced in the Earth DLC. And I named her April, after April Ryan from The Longest Journey. These soldiers are the go-anywhere, fight-anything special forces of the Alliance that were trained at the Interplanetary Combatives Academy in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. They had to survive combat situations in an admirable and effective fashion to receive the N7 rank. Many N7s now train other species in anti-Reaper asymmetric warfare. Shadow infiltrators use implants to dramatically improve agility, making them slippery combatants on the battlefield. Their monomolecular blades are a menace from cover and close range. Shields 500-500, acrobatics, martial arts, increased mobility, and monomolecular blades define this character. This character actually carries a sword like a Cerberus Phantom, and I think actually the model is a variation of the Cerberus Phantom, and therefore has a very strong emphasis on melee combat. Even though I typically don't really like melee, this character really should be played that way, and even though it's different from my usual playstyle, it is actually a lot of fun to play. It is a lot like a tech-based Vanguard in some ways, except I think the Vanguard glitch does not apply. It is a fun character to play in any case. The powers of this character are Tactical Cloak, like any infiltrator, Electric Slash, and Shadow Strike. Tactical Cloak, become invisible. Gain a massive damage bonus when breaking from cloak to attack. Whereas with most sniper-based infiltrators you always want to go for weapon damage on all of the choices, basically. Because this is a melee-based infiltrator, it is absolutely vital that you choose duration, melee damage, and bonus power. Especially the bonus power is important because you want to be able to use Shadow Strike and remain cloaked after doing it. Electric Slash. Unleash a wave of electrical enemy from your swords to stun and damage all enemies in a cone. Highly effective against shields barriers. Considered a power attack. Receives damage bonuses from power upgrades. This ability is much like the biotic shockwave that Jack uses. It has its uses, it's quite powerful. The main disadvantage is that the character does a little animation before doing it, which has to be done out of cover and takes a while, which makes you vulnerable. Although you can of course do it from cloaked, and you can do it twice in a single cloak if you use the bonus power evolution. It is a very good backup for situations where Shadow Strike would be deadly. Electric Slash, I chose damage as my only choice. Shadow Strike. Cloak and sneak behind your targets to unleash a vicious sword attack. Receives damage bonuses from sword upgrades. Considered a melee attack. This is why you want the melee damage bonus on Tactical Cloak, because that improves the quality of this attack. Shadow Strike, if the name sounds familiar, is an ability that Kasumi had in Mass Effect 2. And like her ability, it teleports you to whatever your target is, and then performs a melee attack using the sword. However, unlike Kasumi's Shadow Strike, it does not teleport you back to where you came from, and that is why you want the bonus power evolution on Tactical Cloak. Although Shadow Strike by itself cloaks you, you will decloak when doing the attack. But if you cloak first using Tactical Cloak, and then use Shadow Strike, you will stay cloaked if you have the bonus power evolution, which can be a lifesaver. Also allows you to do 2 Shadow Strikes under 1 cloak. Or a Shadow Strike followed by an Electrical Slash. I chose Damage Protection here. Electric damage. This is particularly useful because, like I said, if you stay cloaked, you can do an electric slash while still cloaked afterwards, which can detonate the electric damage from Shadow Strike as a tech burst. Finally, shield drain, which also improves your movement speed, which is the main reason I do it. Shield drain itself is kind of unreliable, because often if you target an enemy with shields, by the time you get there, because Shadow Strike takes a couple seconds to execute, someone will have shot its shields away and you get nothing. N7 Shadow. Combat skills are perfected to an art with N7 training. These are the only characters actually that are actually N7 forces. More power damage, more weapon damage, and more strength. I chose damage and capacity and power damage, which helps the electric slash. And sword mastery, boost health, shields, melee damage, durability, and movement speed. I choose increased short sword damage and martial artist. This is pretty much the only character where I do not go for health in this category, just because that melee is so important for this character. And this also helps improve Shadow Strike. Weapons, I don't even bother carrying a second weapon here. I'm only carrying the Phalanx, using a magazine upgrade and high caliber barrel. But because you're mostly doing Shadow Strikes, you're rarely even firing these weapons. For equipment, I'm using a Stronghold package to compensate for the character's low health and shields. I'm also carrying a Strength Enhancer and Adrenaline module. Strength Enhancer improves my melee strength, which again also applies to Shadow Strike and the sword attacks. And Adrenaline module increases your movement speed so you can more easily get away after doing a Shadow Strike. Main reason I'm carrying these is because our previous mission failed and we have a character on the team who's not experienced with silver difficulty. Okay, let's go. Character I'm playing now is the new infiltrator, and unlike regular infiltrators, which are better suited as snipers, this one really is all about melee.
We need this location.
Nope, Geth again.
Brace for incoming enemies. Secure the area.
This character is not so great against Geth, unfortunately. Find some enemies that are not all standing close to each other. So this character has Kasumi's Shadow Strike ability, which kind of works like Biotic Charge. Teleports you to an enemy and then you kill it with a sword. One very important thing for this character is to use the bonus power for cloak. Where's that enemy going?
I'm reading only one more left.
One more!
All clear.
Because that allows you to stay cloaked after you do Shadow Strike, which can be a lifesaver.
Enemies inbound.
Contact!
What on earth is going on? Trick is though to try and avoid shadow striking into the middle of a crowd of enemies. Or at the very least, make sure you have an exit plan. And the other problem is that sometimes enemies will die before you can shadow strike them. Because the shadow strike maneuver takes some time. Also, sometimes if enemies see you before you execute the shadow strike, they will turn around and melee you while you're doing the shadow strike. Sometimes staggering you so you can't actually do any damage against them. Which is annoying, especially against Geth, because they have a tendency to just ignore cloak.
Some good work down there.
Area clear.
Stay alert. Enemy is regrouping. Reaper indoctrination devices have been established planetside.
I have cloak duration, so I can do this really easily.
Target and disarm it.
Cover me.
Because with the duration evolution on cloak, I can stay cloak for the duration of the devices.
Squad member down.
Don't waste
Ready to
Medigel that
cover.
early in the game. We were all there to revive you.
Sorry.
Cover me.
Basically only use Medigel when you're nearly bleeding out, or an objective is nearly running out of time, or a trooper is about to stomp you.
Half are disabled. Keep going.
Or if you really think nobody can get to you, if you're on the opposite side of the map, or in the middle of a group of enemies. This is so ridiculously easy with an infiltrator that can sit there cloaked for the whole time.
Targets down. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, I was too far away. I was hoping that would lock on, but it didn't. Hunters are the most annoying Geth enemy because they cloak. And they can fire even when they're staggered or in stasis or other kinds of situations when they really shouldn't be able to.
Enemy force approaching.
Let's see where they're coming from.
Squad member down. Team member has gone dark. Squad member
I didn't want to fall down the ladder. And bonus power also allows you to do quick shadow strikes in succession.
Only one more enemy.
But you have to, of course, be aware that you will decloak after the second time.
Enemy is regrouping. Here they come.
Geth Prime.
Okay, primes are kind of the bane of this character. At least shadow striking them tends to be a bad idea. And this particular power requires you to be out of cover to do it, although you can do it through walls, which can help. When they're alone, shadow striking them is not that bad. Especially not when you think they're gonna die anyway. Let's shadow strike the drone. That's really useful. Even though it was already down the ladder, but whatever. It's using the Regar carbine, which is damn it! I don't want to do that! I just keep hitting that button whenever I target something.
Enemies down. Good shooting.
We're clear.
Enemy forces down to half strength. A messenger with enemy fleet intel was shot down in the area. Find that data terminal and gain access. You're in. Stay close to maintain connection.
And spamming this electrical slash is really a good thing to do during hacks. Although you do need to be aware that it shakes the ground, so sometimes you will throw off other people's aim. And I like to do it from cloak because I get a damage bonus. And because you have this ridiculously long out of cover animation when you try and do it.
Security is coming down.
Sometimes I'm just blindly doing it in the hope I'll hit something. This is very different from my usual playstyle. I don't usually like close quarters combat that much, but this is fun for once in a while. And I was kind of hoping this mission would be against Cerberus. Because these things are excellent phantom killers. They immolate me mid-animation. I hate it when they do that. But at least it didn't interrupt the actual Shadow Strike this time, which sometimes it does. Having a Vanguard and a Shadow in one team is kind of perhaps not the most optimal way to do it. Because you keep competing for targets to either strike or charge.
Sweet. Well done.
All clear.
Enemy is regrouping. Time to reload.
But hey, also I am using adrenaline module, which increases my movement speed. That's why I'm running so fast. Nobody here. Ah! And this is a problem for me because I can't really do anything. But since he's by himself, maybe I can tech burst him. Nope.
Shield on. I'm hit.
Oh, I accidentally slashed the combat drone of the primes, which is not. I've also got my Shadow Strike set up so it causes this electrical damage over time, which can also be detonated for a tech burst. But that's kind of hard to pull off. You don't get a lot of opportunities to grab things, but when it works, it works. Shadow Strike can also restore your shields if you do it against a shielded target, but it's kind of unreliable. You might have noticed I'm barely using my gun, yet I keep running for ammo boxes out of habit. Again, nobody spawns here. That is such a common spawn point. It's really better to Shadow Strike enemies that aren't looking at you. Because they can't do that if they're not looking at you. Kill him with a tech burst. That's because they are detonating my electrical damage from the Shadow Strike. That was kind of pointless. Oh, there's still a prime there. And another one. Okay, that was kind of a problem. Standing too close to it when it blew up. But I survived. This is, oh, another hack, great. This is the first time DH is playing a silver mission. He usually plays bronze, so that's why he's probably not that high in the scoreboard. But that can be forgiven. Besides, score is kind of a bad measure of whether you're a good player anyway. It just measures your damage output, and it's perfectly possible to be a useful player without getting a high score, particularly if you're playing a support class like an engineer. It's always kind of difficult to estimate exactly how far the slash is going to go. One nice thing about Slash is despite the insanely long startup animation, you can sort of adjust course mid-animation. So if the enemy you were intending to shoot dies, oops, you can aim it at something else. Ah. We're done with the hack, so it's time to get out of there.
Check
That is sufficient for the allied goal. Of course, I still want to try to make extraction.
Rendezvous for extraction.
Let's try to get full extraction this time.
On the move.
It's relatively easy for me to extract with this character because I can just try to hide from the enemies the entire time of the extraction wave. And then cloak and run back to the LZ at the end.
LZ in sight. Move it.
Move back to the LZ.
Shuttle has arrived.
Oh, bad idea. Bad idea. That almost moved me out of the LZ. I always keep forgetting how far that moves you forward when you do it. Okay, we got full extraction. That's good. Not bad for your first time, DH.
Yeah, I'm usually better than this. I don't know what was wrong with me today.
It can be some time to get used to silver if you've never played it before. So just the fact that you weren't constantly dead is kind of impressive already.
Yeah.
Because that's certainly what happened to me when I first tried silver. Spent most of the time being revived by other people.